I think it's pretty Ontario-wide.
You know, generally you're later into February. You know, March is known as maple season. You know, we had sap flowing and making maple syrup on the 9th of February.
Ontario maple syrup producers are having what they describe as an extremely early season, thanks to all the warm winter weather. As for whether this is good news or not, it's still too early to tell. Do you typically have a preference for an early start or a late start?
Well, you know, it's really nice to be able, here we are on Family Day weekend making maple syrup. For us, you get so many sap runs, so whether they happen earlier or later, it doesn't matter.
But he does say, while it's not necessarily a problem to start producing this early, the flow of sap from trees can be inconsistent as warm weather suddenly subsides to extended cold spells, bringing the flow to a grinding halt, like we're seeing now.
So we're boiling off sap that had previously come from the trees into our holding tank. So it creates a real start-stop situation. It's not dripping out. You can see it's now frozen on the spigot. So there was the sap flowing and stopping right there.
But in the meantime, he says he's collected enough that he does not have to shut down production just yet.
Okay, well, the raw sap gets dumped into that container out there. Then it flows through this tube into what we call the evaporator. Evaporator is a process that cooks off most of the water.
I've heard many people say this is the earliest they've ever tapped and boiled, including myself.
The Ontario Maple Syrup Producers Association saying it's a similar picture across most of the province and agrees it's less about the start time of the season and more about the conditions during it.
It's all about how much of that perfect maple weather we get, right? Where we get a freeze up at night and then a nice warm day, but not too warm.
Meanwhile, back at Elliott Tree Farm, Derek is also celebrating the reopening of the newly relocated Maple Syrup Museum of Ontario. The museum was in St. Jacobs previously until both the death of its former curator and the sale of the building left it without a home.
The museum was actually put in storage for 2 years.
The museum is now roughly 30 minutes closer to the GTA compared to its previous home. Elliott calling it a natural fit to host at the farm.
A great way to learn about the history and the culture of maple syrup.
In Erin Township, David Zura, City News.